conduct business that you need to conduct. Take complete and accurate notes of each meeting. This is important for your minutes. Your minutes need to be accurate, especially if you need to go back on something and be like, whoa, 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 this is what I thought we decided. And so if it's accurate, you can be like, yep, this is it. This is for sure what we decided, and so on and so forth. Record any motions made during the meeting and the results of the motion. Be prepared to read a motion as stated if needed. So once again, with the accuracy, just in case there's any questions, any confusion, for sure have what's right, so then you can keep the meeting moving very smoothly. Prepare a copy of the minutes of the last meeting in the secretary book to be reviewed and approved by the members. Make any needed corrections. When approved, sign your name at the end of the minutes. The presiding officer should also sign them. So, this, and it can vary. Something that I know that we did in 4-H when I was secretary, we had the secretary and the president sign the minutes both. Just kind of another person to be like, okay, yes, I'm on the same page, I agree, it's good to go, and so on. Just kind of to double make sure. Next, record the names of club officers, club leaders, club volunteers, and club committee members in the secretary book. So record keeping, I mean, as you guys, if anybody's in secretary before, or if this is your first time, record keeping is important. And your community leaders are great. They will help you every step of the way. If you need anything or have any questions, they're right there with you. Don't freak out. Sometimes secretary can kind of be a little scary because you don't want to mess up and you want it to be accurate, but don't worry, it's going to be okay. Everybody's in it together. Help the club officer team and club leaders develop the agenda for club meetings. So this is important, like they talked earlier, make sure that you know what's going on, everybody else can know what's going on, so you can get the business conducted successfully, smoothly, accurately, and then you're not so flustered trying to get everything put together, and you can be prepared. Let the club president and club leader know in advance if you will not be able to attend, so they can have somebody else serve as secretary in your place. It's important to provide a copy of the minutes and attendance record for the appointed person to read. So this is so important. When you have the minutes and the roll call sheet, whatever you guys use, that you get that to them ahead of time, so then they can give it to the person that's going to serve in your spot, so they don't have to try and make it work with what they have. So then everything can still stay fairly accurate and the meeting can run smoothly. Prepare any club correspondence that is needed and share any correspondence that is received by the club. So letters asking for donations is usually a popular one that our 4-H club got a lot. This is important, and always kind of remember, if it is asking for a donation, that's going to come up later in new business. So just be prepared for that to come up. So that'll be something else to also be prepared about. Or sometimes it's thank you letters and stuff like that. And that's important to read to the club so they can feel appreciated right along with you. At the end of the program year, submit the completed secretary book to your club leader. So that generally includes your roll call sheet, your minutes, and your agenda from every meeting. So that's why this is really important to stay on top of this stuff and don't just kind of let it slide on by. Are there any questions before I move on to the next page?
I do not see anything in the chat, Jenna, so.
Okay. If anything comes up, feel free to say anything. I am more than happy to try and answer to my best abilities. Okay, so this is going to kind of break down your minutes. And if you think about it, this is my personal opinion. So you have your agenda. Your agenda, you just pretty much take it and you take everything that happened in the meeting and you put it into paragraph form, into sentence form. Just a little bit more formal, so then you can just kind of read it like a story. And so then if whoever wasn't there at the last meeting can understand what went on. And also, once I said again, like, okay, this is what happened, this is what we decided, kind of a recap, and give everybody a refresher, especially if you only have your meeting is once a month, it's been a month, people have slept since then, so they might kind of forget what happened, so that's okay. So kind of meeting, so rather if it's regular or special, so like a special meeting, for example, would be like your club tour. If you guys went somewhere to go see something, that would be kind of a special meeting, or your Christmas party if you have one, something like that. The name of the club, the place and date of the meeting, who was there. So like, you don't have to name off everybody. Just for this purpose, you would say there were 14 members present, which is a quorum, or there were 8 members present, which is not a quorum, and how many community leaders were there as well. The time it started, the number of members and guests present. Guests are important as well to note down. The approval of the minutes of the previous meeting, the record of the treasurer's report, the reports of the officers and committees, complete motions, including the name of the person making the motion. The name of the person second the motion is not necessary. Just personal opinion, and it's up to kind of what you guys go with and so on. But I have actually included the person that seconded it just to kind of keep your accuracy going. I mean, I think it's important, just so I guess that for sure it did get seconded. I don't know, that's maybe a little extra, but I think that sometimes it's better to be a little bit over prepared, a little bit over detailed instead of underneath that. So anyway, and then obviously you also, when you are typing out motions, you need to, like, if there was any discussion after the motion was made and seconded, you need to include discussion, and then obviously you need to include whether or not the motion ended up passing or failing, or even being tabled to the next motion. So then, once again, if it's tabled, that's one thing that is going to be on the next agenda for the next meeting, because you're going to discuss it next time. I kind of skipped ahead. Important discussions for future references. List of people appointed to committees and the purpose of each committee. If during that meeting you're having committees being formed and such, that's not going to be an every meeting thing. It's important to put down adjournment, and with adjournment comes a motion and a second and then a vote. If there was a program, add in who it was and what they presented on, kind of just a short little recap, just a few sentences of a general summary of it. It doesn't need to be their whole presentation by any means. And then secretary signature, or in my when I was in my 4-H days, we did secretary and president, but that's just personal. So that's what I have for that. Is there any questions? Does anybody want to add anything? Say like, well, this is what we like. You're more than welcome to be like, okay, well, this is what we do in our club. If you guys want to share ideas, like, I don't know, Jody, how are we doing on time?
That's a good question. Whew. I think we're just about to the end.
Okay.
You might talk just a little bit about the nuts and bolts as far as, do you keep them in a notebook? Do you type them up online in a Google Doc? Do you share them with your club leaders that way? And it's very important at the end of the 4-H year that you actually turn them in to your club leader and to the extension office.
Yes. So everybody can do something a little bit different. So I'm just going to show you like an example of my block and bridle notes. So I do my roll call sheet on Excel, but you can do it on paper, so it's a little bit easier, and you can just write it down. So that's kind of what that looks like. And then, so here are my agendas. I just use a basic format for our agendas. And so what I do is I have my agenda pulled up on my computer, and obviously we've gotten it before, you've given it out, or I know a lot of times you print it off. So it's up to preference and kind of what you have at your disposal. But I go ahead and I go right along each thing, and I just fill it in. So like roll call, I'll fill in what was the question that day. Oh, it closes out in a minute.
Okay, see? You're about done.
Okay,
Zip it up, lady.
So I just kind of fill it in as I go, so then I can just come over to my minutes and I can just fill it right in. Sorry, guys, I'm like talking super fast, I know. And these minutes are going to look really long, but your minutes do not need to be this long. You just kind of need to, keep it short and sweet, but also get all the points across. So that's kind of what I do, but you can type it, you can write it out. It's whatever you like to do, whatever's going to help you keep it the most accurate, and so on. I don't really have a whole lot. I'm sorry we didn't have a whole lot of time for questions. If you have any, you're more than welcome to let anybody know if you have any questions, and we can try and answer them. Thank you guys for coming. I hope you guys have a successful secretary for each year and enjoy being a secretary. It'll be fun.
Thank you, Jenna.
Thank you.